Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the social race here in PSGL. And tonight we are headed stateside for the blast around the streets of Miami. We are live from the Miami International Autodrome Circuit that's debuted in 2022 and quickly has been a good race around, especially the esports side, not the F1 side, around here in the F1 calendar. It's nestled around the Hard Rock Stadium in Florida. This 5.4-kilometer temporary street circuit features 19 corners, 3 DRS zones, and a high-speed mix of sweeping bends and tight technical sections, perfect for wheel-to-wheel action, especially in PSGL and other league races as well. This track demands precision and bravery from the Flottard to run through turn 7 and turn 8 to the tricky chicane of turn 14 and turn 15, of course, the long back straights where we're expecting plenty of overtaking action. It may be a social race, but don't let it fool you because there's going to be still a lot on the line as well. The bragging rights ahead of us for the drivers, only 13 tonight, but still, hopefully, it can make or break a good race. And only 13 of us, so in the McLaren, we'll get straight to it. It is Lucas and Zane. And the Ferrari is Matthias in, I think, as well. And his teammate is not here, unfortunately, so it's only him as well. But tonight, I'm joined with Milan Langer. How are you, mate? How are you doing?
I am very good, and thank you for the warm welcome. I'm very excited to get this journey going tonight with my first ever race commentating in PSGL. I can't wait, and let's make it a good one.
Indeed. So it is Lobby 2 then. The last race we had was at the Spanish Grand Prix for Lobby 2 last week as well. And Fraser took the victory ahead of Leon and Zay for first, second, and third. We're consistently P4 and Brian Nemers as well in P5. Brian Nemers was supposed to race tonight, but unfortunately the Dutchman is not here then. But we've got plenty of cars then out on the circuit. And the first one being FRT Nico, the young German driver then, is about to take us through a lap of Miami then as he rounds the final few corners of the racetrack with the DRS wide open. Let's see what Nico can do tonight as we head down in towards turn 1, looking for the breaker point, 100-meter board as we head out down towards turn 1, clipping the apex very nicely in turn 1, a bit of a snap there for turn 2, and turn 3 we go. Use the overtake as well out of turn 3 to power his way down towards the high-speed section of turn 4. Look at this, then let's see how he takes it through 7th gear flat out as we downshift, lift off into 2nd gear as we carry the speed all the way through to this turn number 9 here. You can see the front end of the car not really stable there as he whitewashed almost off the circuit then as we get the run out of turn 9 with the DRS open shortly as we make our way now towards the DRS line. We go DRS wide open as expected to see plenty of overtakes headed down in towards turn 11 we go as we now look for the 100-meter ball once again, breaking down through the gears into third, lock up, and he takes a lot of curve there, surprisingly not invalid there, but kept it within the boundaries of the white line. But in this tricky part of the Mickey Mouse section here, look at that, he just floats over the curve there, and unfortunately he has invalidated his first run then, so Nico there on the back foot as he's validated in that third sector, but expect plenty of that as well, and it is of course the driver's first lap times. Don't expect to be perfect, but Nico then has to back out, save the EOS and go once again then. So we can go on board with somebody else who is closer towards the line. Then we've got a few people down that back straight, and I think Williams is now approaching turn 17 if I can find him, or it could be an RB or Red Bull, I'm not quite sure. I think Oscar's down there. Yeah, he is there. So go on board with Oscar, the man who was in PSGL F1 last season, as we now head towards turn 17. Hard on the brakes there, as you can see there, locks up as Fraser sets the fast lap time with a 25.688 as here comes Oscar towards the line. What can he do in the Williams as he now goes towards the top of the pecking order? It's a Williams 1-2 with Oscar first and Fraser second, separated by 0.3 of a second. Of course, Oscar was teammates with Oliver Congan in PSGL F1 last season, but let's see then how he progresses here in the social race. Now we've got a mixture of F1 and F2 drivers as well across the board here in this social race. Kevin Zundberg is up into P4 in the Red Bull with a 26.3 as Nico goes towards the line. Now it's 26.0. I think last week in the social race in Miami, I think it was like a 24 something as Paul, but that was PC side. So let's see what the drivers could do. But I'm expecting as well in this qualifier session, drivers to reach the 24s as well. That's where you want to be primarily, or in the early 25s, or in the early 25s. Why only 30 drivers? That's a good question. I'm not quite sure why there's only 30 drivers here tonight, but hopefully the answers will come to us soon. But so far, The pace sitter is Oscar, the Norwegian, in first with a 25.309, and Fraser in second place. Fraser, of course, teammates with Finlay last season. His teammate Finlay in the Aston Martin was the one who won the championship in F2. Congratulations to him. He won by the merest of margins, as Hazara was only 6 points away from him. Hazara as well, P2 in the championship. I think he won at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix last season, but Fraser sitting pretty in P2 so far, just ahead of the Ferrari driver of Matisse as well. And apologies if I don't say the name correctly, but hopefully I will as the session goes on, as Tom is up to P4 in the Mercedes. So there's the early pace sitters. Evan Knight, of course, an F2 driver himself last season, has invalidated his lap time as well. So unfortunately for him, he will not get a lap time on the board.
TRT Zane and the McLaren sliding around that final corner, losing a lot of time in the process. In the end, it's going to be only 26.613. That is the result of that. His teammate in this race, PSGL Lucas, in John McLaren, is making his way through that middle sector. You can see a bunch of drivers struggling for grip through that middle part of the lap. Back end sliding out on the exit. A little bit of a moment as well, as he will now be going onto the back straight to the run towards turn 17. DRS will be enabled only around halfway down the straight. He's got a little bit of ERS to deploy. Now he has to find the breaking point then of turn 17, which can be quite tricky. But he a bit of a moment on the entry and on the exit as well. Back end wanting to step out, but now flat out to the line with the second McLaren. His lap time on the board is going to be in the 125 just about. 25.924 puts him right in P5 behind the Mercedes of VNT Tom. And we've only got 3 drivers remaining without a lap time. One of them is FRT Nico. He's just started another lap, and we saw him struggle on his first attempt, where he unfortunately got the chicane in the middle part of the lap, and he took an invalidation. Now he's making his way there through turn 7, and he was quite understeered there as well, which is the new thing on this game. Understeer has been increased a little bit, and dirtier as well in the race, which is going to be something we have to look out for now. DRS open down the third. One of 3 DRS zones now down into braking zone, then off turn 9 and into this twisty section of Miami. Let's see if it's going to be able to get it right this time. Much cleaner through there so far, and he keeps his car within the white lines for now. And now on the exit, he is going to exit the second sector. It seems purple on the minimap, but of course you never know on this game if it's actually purple. But now down this very, very long back straight, Miami 2, very long back straight, both with DRS enabled now. Into turn 17, is he going to get his braking point right? He is, as he turns in, and now on the exit, foot to the floor as early as possible, and he does so, deploying the last bit of ERS to the line, and Nico is going to cross the line for a 125.744, puts him just in P4.
So Nico improves then after his first lap was invalid. A 25.744 is the time for the German driver there in the Sauber, as the rest of them then just sitting in the pit lane waiting for the second runs. But for the likes of Evan Knight and Matisse down in 12th and 13th, hasn't set a lap time on the board. Of course, Evan Knight is on an hour lap, so is Matisse then, so they came out relatively early and are not in sync with the rest of the drivers. They've got a few more people out there on their hour laps already for their second runs. 8 minutes of this qualifier session has already flown by then, as you can see that the driver of Evan Knight is backing off, thinking that Nico's on a lap time, but he's not. He's on his in-lap in towards the pit lane. But let's see then what Evan Knight could do in the Aston Martin. Got a few good results back in PSG as well in F2, as Evan Knight did struggle, of course, across the season. Did Evan Knight? I don't think he took a podium last season in F2, but he did get multiple top 10 finishes. He'll be looking to progress further if he can. It would depend on what tier and division it is. It could be very interesting. PSGL is season 40 when we get underway as well, because I can't wait to see what division people could be in. I think Oscar as well in first place might be in Division 1, as he was placed there last season. Relatively good pace and was in good battles with his teammate. I don't think Oscar, like I said, took a podium. Neither did Volokongan as well, so that's quite interesting there, because they're usually up towards the top end of the pecking order. But let's see then what Evan Knight could do on his first final lap. I'm not quite sure if he went on another one, but I think Matisse has spun and hit the wall, and he's lost his wing there, unfortunately, as he went on to try and set his first flying lap, but ended in the wall. And that lap time is ruined before it started, and a trip to the pits will be necessary, as we see now the Aston Martin heading through turn 1 and turn 2. You can see the back in the car, though. Look at that, just over rotation, unfortunately, just sliding everywhere, as you expect, around this low grip surface, as we now head towards this fast flowing first sector. I think it's flat out of the first part, but unfortunately, Evan Nye has it validated to the second part as well, and therefore just got caught out by the mirrors as well as he cuts the corner in turn 9 for good measure. So that lap time has been ruined. But Kevin Zumberg coming to the middle sector, up by half a tenth of a second as we make our way down towards turn 17 in this heavy braking point. Flicks the car in, but the back in the car wanted to wander away, as still a bit twitchy on the exit, and he heads back in the pit lane, so he's not satisfied with that lap time either.
So still quite a few drivers who are wanting to improve. So we just saw Evan Kai having his moment, and Matisse as well. A little bit more about Matisse, as he started his lap and he hit the outside wall on the start-finish range just at the finish line, and that's where he already invalidated his lap time before he went on to spun off into the wall a few corners later. But seemed to be really struggling so far in this qualifying session, as VNT Nico has gone up to second place, 25.364, a few hundreds behind Oscar, but a very good improvement to put him just in between the two Williams. To be honest, they are separated by around 4/10 of a second, but he is quite close to Oscar in P1, a few hundreds separating the two of them. So Evan Kai in the Aston Martin down in P12, he's going to have to try again, but he has got the time, as Matisse has retired from the session in pit lane, so he will start this race from the back of the grid around 7 minutes ago. But Evan Kai is going to try again with the battery charged up as he crosses the line to start his second flying lap. Let's take a look at the Aston Martin as he navigates his way in towards turn 1, 2 and 3. Have to be really careful with the curbs on the inside and outside. Can catch you out quite quickly, as VNT Thomas got up to P3 in the Mercedes, just ahead of Fraser in the Williams now. And navigating his way further through this first sector. Is he going to keep it within the white lines? This time he is certainly going to keep it within the white lines, and he looks quite tidy so far through the first sector. Now on the exit, have to be careful with the curbs there as well. Deploying the ERS now down this first of the back straight, and he will now deploy the DRS flat out 330 kilometers an hour almost, as we go into the braking zone there of turn 9, or turn 11 I should say, as the turn on the middle of the straight are counted as a turn on this game and in real life as well. But now through the second sector, have to be really careful with the wall on the inside, very close with the front left. Now on the exit, sliding around just a little bit, but not losing too much time on the exit. 1:00.8 is his middle sector time split, as EV Matthias has gone to P3 with a 25.4. Faster time starting to come in as we near the dying stages of this qualifying session. Now down into turn 17 with the Aston Martin. Nice and tidy on the exit as well. Seems to be quite a good banker lap for him so far, and he is going to cross the line for what will be a 1:25.752. Puts him 8,000s behind Nico in P7.
Meanwhile, Oscar was on a flying lap previously. He was 2/10 up, but unfortunately has invalidated the lap time. He did a 25.0, but somewhere on the lap made a big mistake and therefore did not improve his lap time. Fraser is 9/10 down, also invalidated too, and he's lost his end plate for good measure too on the right hand side there. So make contact with the wall somewhere. I know on this game that the track is much more different in 2024 as well. Lucas, I think we just saw across the line, go up into P6 ahead of Nico, who seems to be sliding out of turn 16 there. Evan Knight has invalidated. We just saw him complete his lap time. Kevin Zumberg down in P12. I think he just completes the lap time. He is going quite slowly there, and he has 100% battery as well. So I think he just completes the lap time in 12th place. But majority of drivers then on their second lap time seem to be struggling around this circuit as well. Not a lot of them. In fact, nobody I don't think is on a flying lap. I think the only one to improve there was EVE Matthias in P3 in the Ferrari with a 25.553 or 453, shall I say? As I think there is about a few minutes left in this qualifying session. This qualifying session has absolutely flown by, as majority of drivers are making their way back in the pit lane. We saw Matisse retire and left the session. I really hope he does join back the session before the race starts, so we can have 13, not 12 drivers. Only a short turnout here today in PSGL, as we see then majority of drivers, they're waiting in the pit lane for the dying stages of qualifying. So far it is Oscar on pole. Oscar, his best lap time came on his first one with a 25.309. His banker lap time and can't improve. He's only ahead of Nico by under 600 of a second there in P2. But majority of drivers then are in the pit lane, and we're just waiting for all of them to get back out there once again to start another flying lap. Let's see if Kevin's going to complete another lap. Nope, he's going to head back in the pit lane. So all 12 drivers then are in the pit lane, just waiting for the timer to tick down to get our third run completed then. So Oscar's on pole with a 25.309 on his second flying lap. He did a 25.0, but I'm not quite sure where he evaluated on that time either, as Nico's in P2, Matisse in P3, Fraser in P4. I think the man that finished P3 in the championship, because I don't think he turned up in the last race of the season in Abu Dhabi. He didn't either. He was third in the championship, just behind Hazara, but lost out because Hazara won the Grand Prix. But Fraser won 2 races in a row in Singapore and Mexico, and I think he took over the championship lead, or was second place at the time. But Finlay did a mega job. His team at the time did a fantastic job to try and claim the championship as well. So you can see there the McLaren engineer escorting the McLaren driver of Zayn out, as Nico is out of the circuit as well. There we are. Then we've got a flurry of cars finally approaching the circuit, and let's see what they can do. They came out relatively early, and what that means is when you come out very early, if you make a mistake on your first lap, you've always got the second lap to do so, because some drivers may struggle to try and get the perfect lap time towards the end of qualifying, because some people can roll up the pit lane with a few minutes left to go and get that lap time immediately, whereas other people like me, or just people who struggle in general, might need that second lap time to try and best their own as well. So Nico, Evanai, Luca and Zayn are at the pit lane there with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left to go. We've got some movement coming out as well with the Williams. Could that be Oscar or Fraser? We're about to find out in a few seconds time. I think the Williams of Fraser is making its way to the pit lane as well, and Oscar too. So We've got a few cars still in the pit lane there, which is Lucas, but the majority of them on the right laps as well. So I can't wait to see what these drivers could do. I think the first driver I'm going to go on board with is F1 Luca. He took part in a social race, I think, a few days ago, and he did a mega job. But unfortunately, the strategy caught him out because the safety car came out at the wrong time for him. So Luca there got put on the back foot, and his strategy was completely ruined and compromised with that safety car coming out too. So here he is. Luca's got some mega pace as he now takes the final few corners of this racetrack, ready to start a potential last flying lap around this Miami circuit then, as now open the DRS towards the start finish straight as he starts his final lap as we head down in towards turn 1, looking at the 100 meter board in towards turn 1. It can be very tricky as well. You can see a lot of cars sliding through turn 1, turn 2 and turn 3 as well. Use the curves very nicely as well. I remember as well in the curves can be quite lethal. It's all about precision and the setup as well and your preference as we now head towards this high speed section in towards the first sector. We go downshift into 6th gear, carrying the speed all the way through, just cut to the track as much as you can. Then this hole, unfortunately for Luca there, just a bit too wide, and unfortunately that lap time has been ruined. He's 10th down in the first sector is Luca, so I don't think he can find more time in the middle or the last sector, as turn 9 can be very tricky because you really want to open up the corner and take a late apex and slingshot your way out, try and get the best possible run on the second of the third straights. As we go on board then with Zayn has retired, and I think he's crashed in the first sector. Zayn has crashed on the circuit and his qualifying has ended prematurely, as unfortunately he won't improve from P10 there. Other people like Zozo or Kevin Zumberg might improve right behind him there. So Tom is going for flying lap. Where's Oscar in the Williams coming through turn 2 and turn 3? So the driver up the road is the Mercedes man, and I think the Aston Martin is just ahead of us as well, of Evanai, as we see Tom then improves by 200ths of a second there, as we now progress our way on to the second of the 3 straights with the DRS open. And let's see what he could do now in towards the third sector we go, or second sector in this tricky technical part of the racetrack. Build speed down towards third gear, clipping the apex very nicely through as well. And this one can be very difficult as well because balancing the throttle there as well, to make sure you don't lose back in the cars. But now head towards this chicane we go, taking the curves very nicely there. You can see the back in the car just wanted to complain as he drifts through in towards turn 16. Not the best possible way to take it, but he's a 10th up in the middle sector. The Red Bull, unfortunately, is off the circuit in the first sector on RB, so that's his lap time ruined there, unfortunately, as we now go on board with the Mercedes headed down in towards the last braking zone, in towards 17. Kevin Zumberg has been disqualified, but won't matter anyway. Evanai goes up into P3 in the Aston Martin. Here comes Tom as he makes his way towards the line. Now it's going to be a 25.4. He pops that Mercedes up to P3, only about 800s quicker, or 8,000s quicker than Evanai in P4. Where's Oscar? Oscar, look at that, 2.5 tenths up in the middle sector as Oscar, the Yuzu man, comes towards the line. It'll be a 25.1 as he extends the margin then by 0.2 of a second. Mega lap time there for Oscar in the Williams, as we see more people then completes the last final lap. Lucas is a 10.5 up in the middle sector as he makes his way out of turn 17. The car just reluctant a bit as we make our way towards the finish line. He goes or stays, let's have a look right now, up into P6, just one position higher, 2,000s quicker than Fraser in P7. But majority of drivers on their last laps, though, made loads of mistakes. Nico is down by 14 hundredths of a second there, but can he improve in the last sector? We're about to find out right now as he crosses the line. He stays into P2, and the qualifying is done, Milan.
Wow, what a drive there, what a lap from Oscar. He's on pole position ahead of Nico, who was struggling on his final lap. I was riding on board with him through his final lap, and he lost a lot of time through sector 1, over 1.5 tenths almost. So that means Oscar is on pole by over 2 tenths of a second. So great lap in the end, 25.1 puts him, well, just over 2 tenths ahead of Nico. Tom in P3, very close between him, Evan Kai, and Matthias as well, all 3 tenths, all separated by a few thousandths of a second. Lucas and Fraser, P6 and 7, separated by 2 thousandths of a second. And Nico in P8, F1 Luca down in P9, Zane in 10th. Next place also in P11, and both Kevin and, well, we hope if Matthias joins as well, but Kevin disqualified for in this qualifying session as well. But that is your grid then for this race, and now we can focus on the race. 29 laps, I think, ahead of us, so it's going to be interesting to see, especially with tire wear as well and strategy, because on this year's game, tire wear has increased quite significantly. So it's going to be interesting to see if we are going to see some drivers with a one stop and others might go for the twos. I'm not really familiar with the strategy so far around Miami, but I do know that tire wear has become quite high on this year's game. So tire management is going to be way more important than it used to be on previous games.
Exactly, as well, and plus chance of a safety car can be quite high, but with 12 people only, you don't expect the safety car to be that high, so hopefully we don't see a safety car, which can definitely make or break people's races. But let's see then, 12 drivers lined up on the grid. I'm not quite sure if Batiste has joined back or not, and we'll see if he has, but if he hasn't, then it's 12 drivers. Kevin Zumberg starts last with a disqualification, but only down in P12, so we'll see 12 drivers then racing around here in Miami, and let's see what the drivers could do then in this social race. We expected about 16 or 17 people here tonight, but unfortunately it's down to 12, so I'm quite sure where the rest of them are, with a few people missing a teammate, but quite a lot of them here are missing a teammate too. In the lobby too, it looks like a good turnout too at 8 p.m, so the social race at 8 p.m. will start in, I think, about 30 minutes time, or just over to 35 minutes time as well. So hopefully the lobby 2 will be stacked up, and hopefully be a good race, because there's a lot of interesting drivers there in the lobby 2 as well. A lot of people from Division 1, people from Division 3 and 4 as well mixed in. So mixed in grid there, we'll see the drivers' pace and see the drivers' true potential. I know a few of them have been practicing as well for this social race in Miami. It is super, super difficult as well to hook up around here, especially early doors as well in the game. Not knowing that, I know a lot of people spend a lot of hours on this game, including me. But yeah, hopefully it's going to be an interesting race. No lobby restarts, I hope. I don't think there's no lobby restarts now in PSG. I think that's all sorted then, as we used to have them. As when the qualifying session ended, we have a lobby restart, then we go once again. So let's see then what happens here tonight. 12 drivers, 29 laps are ahead of us. Time management could be key, like you said, and also the dirty air as well can be quite effective as well on this game, because it's just a straightforward DRS train, not much strategy going on. A lot of people being stuck where they are, a lot of stalemates as well in the Grand Prix. Not a lot of people could do anything about it. It was just all about undercuts as well, etc., and having the pure pace to try and break out the DRS range of somebody else. But when you got DRS zones like 3 of them, especially in Miami, or 1 of them in Imola and Japan, it is just so difficult to break out there. So let's see then how it all changes on this F125 game. We want it realistic, and hopefully that's what we get as well, with the entry temperature skyrocketing, the dirty air affects the cars behind as well. Seen a lot of people sliding around too, for good measure, but the lobby will start soon. How do you feel about this F125 game, Milan?
I think it's an improvement definitely to F124, although I don't think that's quite very difficult to do, to make an improvement to what F124 was. But yeah, the tire wear, the dirty, I think it's more realistic, and I really enjoy driving on F124, because you get more punished for throwing your car in on F124. I thought that was quite unrealistic with the handling, but now in the races, at least on F125, you really get punished if you do that, because your tire wear will skyrocket. So I feel way more comfortable on F125 than I did on F124. So I certainly think that it's a good thing. So well, let's find out how that is going to pan out in this race as well. Everyone at the moment on the medium compound tire, so might just be a straightforward medium to hards, or you might see a two-stop. It's going to be interesting for sure here in the streets of Miami, but I think we're about to get going.
2 stop or 1 stop. That's going to be an interesting strategy this year as well. I think the no formation lap. We're going to get back to go racing immediately then, as the light is about to go away for the social race here in lobby 2. We're underway for the Miami Grand Prix. Let's see who gets the best start. Oscar's got a line to start ahead of Nico already as we head down towards turn 1 we go. Let's see any moves in towards 1 we go. But Ferrari versus the Aston Martin as we head down towards turn 2 and turn 3. Mercedes of Tom tries to go on the outside but gets blocked off immediately. Evernight is ahead of Matisse there for P4, ahead of the Ferrari driver Lucas and Fraser dropping down in the midfield there. It seems like a clean start so far, hopefully, because it's only 12 drivers already. But Oscar leads Nico ahead of Tom for first and second there. We've got Evernight versus Matisse for fourth and fifth as we now pick our way through the first sector we go. And so far, looks like everybody's had a clean start. No major changes in the field there. As we can see, McLaren there swapping, trying to overtake the Ferrari on board. But Lucas then rides the back of the Ferrari as we head onto the second straight. He pulls out the slipstream, going side by side with the Ferrari driver as we head down towards the braking zone, in towards the level we go. But the Ferrari and Matisse has the inside line. Oh, better contact between the Williams there as he outbrakes himself and almost into the back of Lucas with a kick salver of Nico, pressurizing Fraser from behind. But so far, clean from everybody as we make our way for the first time in this third set. The Mickey Mouse section we go. And so far, all 30 drivers get away unscathed. Is Batiste here in 30th place? He is. So we did draw back the session. Not quite sure when, but he's back. And 30 drivers are here then as we now make our way towards the long back straight where we expect to see plenty of overtaking action as Oscar then got a whole train of cars right behind him as we head towards the heavy braking zone in towards 17. The Williams driver of Fraser defending from Nico, who seems a bit optimistic to try and get past, but still stuck behind the Williams there as we exit lap 1. On to lap 2 we go then with the DRS wide open on this lap. Oscar leads them away ahead of Nico in P2. Tom follows in P3. Evernight in 4th place. Batiste in P5 under a lot of pressure on the first lap, but kept Lucas and Fraser and Nico all at bay for the time being then as we see. Oh, there's a Sabu spawn. Who's that? Is that Nico? Nico has gone for a spin, unfortunately, down there, and he takes out Red Bull Turns Kevin Zumberg. Kevin's going to be absolutely fuming with that one. He rejoined in the path of Nico. Or Kevin, sorry, and Kevin has lost both of his places. He's going to be absolutely frustrated, but Matisse got past Evernight. That's towards turn 9. They go wheel to wheel. Out of turn 9 we go. We're going side by side between the Aston Martin and the Ferrari we go. DRS will be enabled. They both get DRS on the back of the top three, the Williams and the McLaren in the battle 2 by 2 as we head down towards the second straight we go. So tight as well, going down towards the breakers. But look at this, the Aston Martin on the inside there, defended, turned into an overtaking opportunity against the Mercedes, but the Ferrari comes back through, sneaks from the inside, bursts. Evernight has the racing line and the inside line for the next corner. That was so close there between the two as Evernight there turned a defence into an overtaking opportunity but couldn't get past the Mercedes and stays ahead of the Ferrari for the time being. A great battle going on already in this Grand Prix.
Great defense there from Evernight. Stays in P4, like you said, just ahead of Matthias, but Oscar still in the lead of this race. But here comes Nico trying to have a go, and here comes Tom as well. So both of them deciding not to go for the move, and here comes Evernight trying to go the long way around the outside, but now he's going to have Matthias up the inside once again as we now cross the line to start lap number 3. Oscar still remains in the lead of this race, just ahead of Nico as he sets the fast lap of the race, but a lot of drivers setting the fast lap of the race in the end. Zane with a 1:30.3, but all clean still inside the top 10. Bit of a moment there from Luca through turn 1. So he lost a little bit of time as Kevin Sundberg with a 10-second time penalty. Very unlucky for him as he got caught up in an incident there with Nico. Yellow flags are out, and it's Nico once again spinning around in the same corner he did one lap ago, and he's down to P12 once again as Kevin has changed his front wing and put up a brand new set of tires as well. As I want to point out, Luca, he is the only one on the hards. Everyone else started on the medium compound tire. But Oscar leads 4/10. Here comes Tom trying to go a long way around the outside of the V-Cup, and he's going to do that quite easy. Then he's going to go up the inside as well of Oscar for a change of lead. He's going to send it up the inside, and VNT Tom is going to take the lead of this race as Evernight is trying to find a way past. Nico is about to go wheel to wheel in the back, but Fraser MLT is trying to go wheel to wheel through this section. That is not going to work out, and Fraser has to back out in the end and has to settle for P6, and followed closely there by the two McLarens as well as we enter the back straight once more. But now VNT Tom in the lead of this race. Got 6/10 of a second towards Oscar, so a little bit of a gap, and he will remain in first place just ahead of the Williams, the V-Carb, the Aston Martin, the Ferrari, and Fraser, who was on the inside of the track there. And that's Evernight once again trying to go up the inside, and now once again he has Matthias up his inside as to go wheel to wheel through the start finish line, but Matthias has to settle for P5 right now as VNT Tom is your new race leader. On to lap 4 we go.
A lot of action there on the first open laps of the Grand Prix. Loved it to see as well as Tom trying to break away from Oscar in first and second there. We saw Luca, who got the motor down into P9. I think it was turn number 12 as Nico has retired in the pit lane. Then, unfortunately for the German driver, as he spun twice out of turn 3 there. But Kevin Magnussen and Logan Sargent crashed, I think, last year or the year before. Yeah, 2024 or 3. I can't exactly remember now, even though it wasn't long ago. But yeah, 2024 is when Lando Norris won the Grand Prix, because I think Kevin Magnussen and Logan Sargent crashed. So it was 2024. Got mixed up there between the years. But yeah, it is Tom then who leads ahead of Oscar. We've got Fraser right at the back of the Ferrari driver. These guys are being so ambitious already in the first open laps of the Grand Prix. As we head down towards the braking zone, no moves being made so far, so they all settle in, as there was quite a lot of action going on in the first open laps of the Grand Prix. So Luca got shuffled back into P9 in this particular part of the corner. He drifted out wide at the exit of turn number 12. Not quite sure if he had the grip or just oversteered or made contact, but Zane is ahead. He's behind his McLaren teammate of Lucas as we now head onto the back straight. Once again then, as some people tap the wall, you can hear the crunches there where they tap the barriers on the exit of the slow speed corner. Now Nico rides the back of Oscar then. Let's see if he can try and go for a move down towards turn 17. He's all over the back of him, but can't seem to make a move. As JP says, what's with all this tyre smoke? I keep saying, yep. Unfortunately, the tyre smoke is still not fixed, and this has become an issue for a long time. But hold on to that fact, because Nico's right back at Oscar once again as we head down towards turn 1. You can see these guys derated, saving their battery up as well, and trying to utilise it later on in the Grand Prix. Lap 5 out of 29, a long way to go still in this Grand Prix. So far, Tom takes the lead away from Oscar for first and second. Nico in P3 ahead of Evan Knight, who's under massive pressure from the Ferrari, and Fraser right behind with Lucas and Zane, the two McLarens in P7 and P8, with Luca the only one on the hard compound tyre. Kevin Zundberg is still circulating on the racetrack. I think he has picked himself up a 10-second time for speed in the pit lane as Kevin Zundberg then sets the fast lap of the race as well for good measure. He's just hoping for a safety car to come out as well to get rid of his 10-second tablet and also be involved in this battle once again. Kevin Zundberg's got some amazing pace. Me and Milan have seen it in other leagues, but here in the social race tonight, got caught up with the incident Nico when he spun out of turn number 3 as all these guys they reach the braking zone in towards turn 11 we go, as all the cars file through in the slow speed corners coming towards the chicane right now, where plenty of people have been caught out in the past as well. Be very careful, especially the dirty air. It's so easy to lose traction as well, or invalidate on the exit or the entry towards the turn 30 to 16 complex. And now we head onto the back straight once again. You can see the highway in the background there as the DRS is wide open on the main straight. Look at the McLaren in the background, I think, as well. We're on the studio to cool down his engine as we head down towards turn 17. Nico has left the sessions. That's his social race ended, unfortunately, after making a mistake in the same place twice down the exit of turn 3 as we now head on to lap 6 out of 29. So I think all these guys then are settled in the first in as they're just following each other in that DRS train there. Just think about the long game now as we see, was that McLaren up the inside of somebody there? I thought it was, but he's a bit too far back to make a move going down in towards turn 1. So all these guys, they're just settled in and waiting patiently for the long game to happen as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it seems like the field has settled down quite a little bit there. Drivers choosing to stay behind for now and not fight too much, as it is going to cost you a lot of tire wear. But Nico is very close to the back though, still off Oscar. Oh, still within DRS range is the entire top 9. Zozo unfortunately has dropped behind by around 2 seconds. So it's a 9-way fight for the race. That's Fraser. He's very close to the back of Matthias. Is he going to try and go for the move? He's using all of his battery and he's going to try and go the long way around the outside into turn 11. They're going to go wheel to wheel. Very, very close between them. Not a lot of space on the inside, but he's going to keep his foot in. And they're now side by side and they go into the chicane. And they're still side by side going at it. And somehow none of them is going to go off track. But Matthias that's going to stay behind. And there's a switch back there from Fraser. He has to cut across the curb there, but brilliant move. And he's going to go up into P5 as the Williams does get past the Ferrari in a place where you normally don't quite see an overtake. But he has pulled off, and the Williams ahead of the Ferrari, ahead of the McLaren, very close to each other. And now he's going to try and have to close the gap to the cars in front. It's 1.1 seconds. Oh, Lucas has hit the Williams and the Ferrari as well. A little bit too optimistic there on the brakes, and that has severely costed everyone from P5 downwards, because the gap towards P4 is now 2 seconds. Two McLarens go wheel to wheel. Zane now ahead of Lucas as well, sliding into turn 1 though. But Lucas down to P8. What really happened there? down into the braking zone of turn 17.
Yeah, just double locked up and just snatched the rear and collected a few cars as well in the way. As we see Mercedes going side by side in towards turn 4 we go. Not a place you see people go side by side, but they're going to keep it in as he gets forced off the road. Oh, it's so close between those two there. But Luca gets ahead of Lucas then. I thought Luca by now shoved the tyre advantage on the hard compound tyres, but still, these guys on the medium showing some relatively good pace. And now the DRS has been split from 4th to 5th. The gap is 2 seconds almost. Here comes Lucas back on Luca as they go side by side on the second straight there, but Mercedes seemingly has more straight speed or more battery because you can see the dashboard of McLaren. He hasn't got a lot of EOS in store either, as they used it all trying to get past him a few laps ago. But we can see Luca then on the hardcore power tyres still ahead of Lucas in between both McLaren drivers there. I wonder if the McLaren driver has picked up damage. I don't think he has. Or Zane, I don't think he has either. So I think both of them escape free with no damage there on the car. But Fraser then 1.8 seconds away. We talked about this on the last game as well. When you put the DRS, it is so difficult to bring yourself back in DRS range, especially with a track like 3 or 4 DRS zones like Australia with 4. You just can't see it close in, and rather than thinking ahead, you've got to think behind, because the guys behind you all following you in the second part of the DRS train. As we see the Ferrari there go out wide at the exit of turn number 18 or 19. Sorry about the notification. I don't think you can see the notifications there on the PS5, but a lot of people have invited me to F1, so apologies about the notifications wherever they are on the screen, if not at all. But lap 8 out of 29 then, it is the top 4 of Tom, Oscar, Nico and Evanai, just all following each other in that DRS range. Thinking about the long-term game then, think about a strategy ahead, see what they could do later on in the Grand Prix, whether it's going to be an undercut or try to overtake later on in the Grand Prix, because sometimes the first stint, these guys just want to play the even game and try and go as long as they can, not overtake each other, not lose time towards each other as well, pull away from the rest of the pack, and then think about the strategy as well in terms of the pit late, the goes to hardcore power tyres later in the Grand Prix. So Fraser then in P5 under massive pressure from the guys behind with the DRS then. It is seemingly like Fraser's losing a lot of time because he just can't seem to catch up towards the top 4 ever since that break in the train, and therefore he can be under massive pressure from there as well in P5.
Yeah, so it seems the field has split into 2 groups. You've got the top 4 and then Fraser down to Lucas and P. Now Lucas has dropped outside of DRS range as well, so he might have got a little bit of tire wear with that moment down into the braking zone, really hurting the rear tires, and he's struggling to hold on to this train as well. But at the front, it's still positions haven't been changed. VNT Tom is still your race leader by 0.5 of a second towards Oscar, and Nico and Everett Knight, they are still separated within the DRS range of each other as we go on to lap 9. So 21 laps to go. And I wonder when the car's going to pull into the pit lane. Well, there's your answer. Zane in the McLaren is going to pull into the pit lane on lap 9 from the mediums. And he is going to go to a set of hards. So that is going to be a very long way if he wants to do a 1-stop. So we might be looking at a 2-stop here, because he has to do 21 laps on the hards, which is going to be difficult, given that he's only done 8 laps on these mediums. But he is the first one to pull into the pit lane for a scheduled pit stop. Because Kevin, of course, he had that accident, but he is going to come out right in between Mathies and Zozo, though not really any clean air, but he's going to try and find a way past already into turn 5. Up the inside he goes, and he gets the job done, and so is Zozo as well around the outside. So that is Mathies losing 2 positions in the process. He's dropped down to P8, and actually Zozo has pitted as well earlier, so 2 drivers onto the hards. He's been on these for 2 laps, but Zane now in a lot of clean air to try and close the gap towards the top 8, as it is going to be an undercut for him. But I do wonder if he's going to be able to make it to the end on these tyres.
He should do, but might take a bit of a pay the price towards in the Grand Prix with a tyre life there expiring on his car. The top 4 then, in your picture, Evanai was struggling to get himself in DRS range, or was struggling to stay in DRS range, but the gap is 6 tenths now as he's settled in right behind Nico as well. Nico looking for a move on Oscar, but he's thinking about the long-term game, not going to go for the move just yet. In the background as well, Fraser losing even more time as he heads off into the pit lane there. So Fraser has pitted, and he puts on a set of hardcore power tyres, probably responding towards Zane, who just pitted there, and Zozo behind, but they're quite far back. Those guys were, he should get the should be ahead of Zane for the pit lane, considering the gap beforehand as well. So into the pit lane he comes on the hard compound tyres, take it towards the end, and let's see where he should rejoin. The McLaren driver is making his way towards the finish line. The undercut could be massive around here as we head down towards turn 1. So Zane does get ahead of Fraser as we head down towards turn 1, indicating the undercut is so powerful. And we're side by side, he just comes to the pit lane alongside, and then out of turn 3 we go. And the McLaren driver with his heated up tyres should get the jump, but no, Fraser gets ahead on his new hardcore powered tyres there as he just sneaks ahead. I didn't realise how close they were out of the pit lane because on the start of the straight, it seems that Zane was ahead of him, but of course the track feeds in towards turn 2 and turn 3. And now Fraser rejoins ahead of Zane, crucially for his race in clean air as he puts himself into P8 then. So I think this might cause a chain reaction then with the rest of the guys. These guys in the top 4 can probably elongate their stint longer as well because they've got the jump and the rest of the guys ahead with a big gap behind as well. Nothing to worry about so far in the Grand Prix, but I wonder which one of the top 4 is going to jump the gun first. Is this a bit too early to pit around lap 8, 9, 10? Maybe going for a bit longer. We did see in the last game as well where a few people stayed out longer, trying to make the hardcore powered tyres more durable towards the end of the Grand Prix. So here we go then, out of turn 17. Anybody pitting in the top 4? The answer is not yet, but you can see, look at the tyre graining there on the Williams. As you can see there, massive graining between these guys, and it's more you can see a lot of it as well in towards turn 1 and turn 2 and turn 3 it goes then, just managing the tyres through the first 3 corners. So nobody pitted just yet, but I wonder in the next few laps they might do.
Yeah, so a long way to go, 19 laps to be exact. So as long as nobody else around should pit, apart from Fraser and Zane, I don't think they have to pit this early. They might just stick it around a little bit longer and have the tire advantage at the end of the race where it really matters. So I think that's where they're doing the top 4 as well. They as long as they can't keep going, I think they will keep going, all 4 of them together, and then pit probably around the same time when they do, as Matisse has put into the pit lane. He's onto the medium, so that is definitely going to be a 2-stop for him. So I think he started on medium, so he's done medium so far, which means he needs to pit. Otherwise he might not do with the regulations with 2 different sets of tires. So he's still out in P11, not having a great time so far in this race, in qualifying as well. But look at the front, Tom out there just managing, not pushing at all, as they still stay within each other, within DRS range of each other, around 6-7 tenths separating the 4 of them. And let's see if any of them is going to pull into the pit lane on this lap, or are they going to stay out for a few laps longer. It seems like they will. And then Matthias in P5, he's around 4 seconds behind these drivers, but he's still staying out as well. And Luca, surprisingly, Luca is going to pull into the pit lane from the hard, so he should be the one to pull into pit lane way later than everyone else. But he is into the pit lane at the end of lap 11. From the hards to the Venus he will go. And I'm sure that is going to be the stop for him as well. So is the hard tire that durable, or are we going to have some trouble at the end of the race with drivers who pitted this early onto the hards?
Yeah, so interesting there. Luca pitting very, very early for the hardcore power tires. I was going to mention as well, I'm surprised that he's not really gaining on the hot medium power tire runners as well, the guys ahead. He just stale there in P7, so he has been struggling in the hardcore power tires, not making inroads on any of the guys ahead, and he's on the medium power tires too. So it's going to be a bit of a blunder there for Luca, having to do two-stroke strategy, which is the much slower strategy, of course, as well, with the pit lane loss around here in Miami being quite significant and large as well. So Luca's race there in P9 not going his way, as we ride on board with the McLaren drive of Zane right behind Fraser as well. So let's see the gap to leader between these guys. I think Fraser, Zane will definitely get ahead of Tom, Oscar, Nico and Evanai, but I think with the tyre offset between Tom, Oscar, Nico and Evanai, they should get past relatively easy and take control of the race once again, with the gap to leader being 15.9 as they continues to gain on the guys ahead. So it looks like these guys will fall back in towards the clutches of Fraser and Zane when they make the pit stop. And let's see then, you can see these guys really struggling. I'm surprised. Yes, finally Nico is in the pit lane then as he gets off those medium power tires onto the hard, slow the car down. We've seen a lot of people get caught out as well by speeding the pit lane. It is so easy as well to speed in the pit lane if you want to try and gain loads amount of time as well. Matisse in P5 has pits as well. He was in the battle with Zane and Fraser earlier on in the Grand Prix, but will get definitely undercutted. So this is key for the race then, as we see now Fraser and Zane, look at that, massively ahead as well. So Fraser will lead this Grand Prix when the guys ahead will make their pit stop. The undercut is so powerful as well, as where has Nico rejoined in P6 in clean air, which he needs as well in his battle, in his pursuit to try and get Tom, Oscar and Evanai. So he's one of the first people in the top 4 to pit on the hardcore power tyres, and he should be rapid from here and in as well. With a clean air, nobody around him, with Luca just about over a second behind him as well, but he won't make a massive impact, although he might do because of the mini compound tyres, so his mediums should be in good shape in comparison towards Nico. But yes, this is where we'll see the top 3 pit as they all bunch up close together. They're losing a lot of time behind each other as well. But the dirty air, the old mini compound tyres wearing out as well. We saw in the last game as well with the mini compound tyres, when they die, it's just so difficult to bring them back to optimal temperature because you're sliding around all over the place, especially on a track like Miami, where it's difficult enough in one lap pace on the soft compound tyres. It's just so difficult to keep them under temperature as well. As we see then, let's see if any of these guys should pit as we head down towards the heavy braking zone in towards turn 17. These guys being very smart as well, not fighting in the early stage of the Grand Prix. They were in the first 3-4 laps, then they settled down. But here we go then, these guys are pitting on the same lap as each other. There's no point for Evernight to stay out there because he'll lose a lot of time there. So the top 3 are pitting, as I think Oscar just knocked over a bollard. But let's see then, Fraser will take the lead of the Grand Prix on his newer hardcore power tyres. But of course, the tight offset towards the end, it should be advantage Oscar, Evernight, Tom and Nico. Through goes Fraser to take the lead of the Grand Prix. But he's going to have to watch over his shoulders in the next 15 laps of this Grand Prix to see the guys rapidly approaching him as well on their new tyres. Let's see then, Nico, where is he? In P5, side by side at the pit lane with Oscar as he tries to go all the way around the outside, but nothing doing there. Going side by side with the Williams then as we head down towards turn 4, but smartly, Nico backs out of it. He doesn't want to make a collision there at high speed in towards turn 4 and backs out the corner there with Oscar into P4. So I'm surprised that Nico pitting one lap earlier in comparison towards his rivals of Oscar and Tom did not undercut Oscar and Tom despite being on old mini compound tyres. So that's quite surprising in P5 there.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because he was fighting it out with Luca at the end of the previous lap. So the Mercedes gets overtaken by the Aston Martin, but Luca, he was ahead, or he passed Nico on the back straight on the run towards turn 17 and then ran very deep into turn 17, which put them side by side on the exit as well. So he lost a little bit of time with that as well. So he was struggling, and he was fighting it out with Luca, I think, which is why he ended up behind both Oscar and Tom, because it was a very fine margin on the pit exit. So that is very unfortunate there for Nico, as his undercut didn't really work at all because of that. Because here we look at Oscar, he's going to get past Tom. And as I said, Oscar into the lead. Well, I say into the lead, but he is P3 right now and around 4 seconds behind Fraser and Zane. And Zane actually has dropped behind Fraser as well, 1.2 seconds. So, as you have Fraser in the lead of this race, but the drivers who just pitted, Oscar, Tom, Nico and Kai, they got a 3-4 lap tire difference, tire advantage, which is going to come into their hands at the end of this race. And another thing which is going to help them is that they are in a DRS train. And with 3 DRS straights on this track, I think it is going to be way easier to close the gap when you're just driving on your own like Fraser is. But I think Oscar just got their warning as well, as he got the track there a little bit too much. But they can work together to close the gap to the leading pair of Fraser and Zane. Oscar, Tom, Nico and even Kai can do, but Kai is dropping behind a little bit as well. Luca in there as well, still on his medium, but we know he has to pit again. And here comes Tom, getting past Oscar. So there he is, working together, and the gap is around 3 seconds now towards Zane.
Indeed, Zane has lost touch with Fraser in terms of DRS. The gap is 1.8 seconds as Lucas gets a 3-second penalty. The man in P10 struggling on them hardcore power tyres as they all file their way through in towards 13 and 16 we go. You can see that Zane just right in front there, just touching distance. The gap is 2.7 seconds between Zane and Tom. He'll catch him at Ray and Nos, and in no time indeed, with Oscar right behind and Nico and Evernight in P6 as well. With Luca, he's been detached from this DRS train, has Luca. The gap is 1.2 seconds there, as we know he's on a 2-stop, or maybe a 1-stop, try and stretch those mediums towards the end, but they'll be absolutely dead towards the end as well, as we see these guys, they're far through onto lap 16 out of 29. There's 13 laps left to go, as the gap between him and Zane is 2 seconds there. Fraser's doing a good job. He's broken away from Zane, and Zozo's retired in the pit lane, so he's out of the Grand Prix, and unfortunately we're down towards 10 now, with Batiste all the way down in the lonely P11. Now there he is in the RB, just running a lonely race. He did retire early doors in qualifying as well, left the session, but he's still going on there, hoping and praying for an early safety car in the Grand Prix to bring him back in towards his race. So respect for him still going. I know it's difficult down there in P11, no man's land, and no possible opportunities, but you never know if safety car might come out as well as the Haas rejoins as well on the circuit. I'm not quite sure while the AI retires in the pit lane and comes back on the circuit. That's very strange as well. I've seen a lot of scenarios where people avoid them as well, heading down towards turn 1 and turn 2. I've seen it plenty of times where I think the drivers don't know that the Haas or a driver that's retired ghosted. And, Matisse is AI. Sorry about that, yeah. Yep, you can clearly see he's driving AI, so he's not in the session and he's left. So yeah, he is not in the Grand Prix. So we're down towards 9 now. 9 drivers fighting for the lead of the Grand Prix. In the DRS trains, Luke has been detached. Matisse in P8 has been detached as well in the Ferrari. He'll be hoping to get past Lucas because he can now, because the Mercedes driver is losing pace towards Evan, Nico, Oscar, and Tom. And the main rivals in the Grand Prix, Tom is 1.2 seconds away from Zane. The inevitable is going to happen soon, and with Fraser too. Fraser's winning a decent race, breaking away from Zane, but he knows Oscar, Tom, Nico, Evan, and the guys behind. We all catch up very soon as well to try and take first place back in the race.
Yeah, and just to put it into perspective, on the previous lap alone, Tom was 1.3 seconds faster than Fraser was. Fraser did 1:30.8, and Tom was in the mid-29, so they are gaining very, very quickly, and Tom is now already at the back of Zane, so he's going to have DRS as well for good measure to help him out. Although, is he going to be able to get past on this straight? The McLaren is using a little bit of ERS, but here comes Tom, desperate to try and get past as soon as possible, as he really can't afford to stay behind in that very twisty section which is coming up. And here comes the Mercedes up the inside of the McLaren, and Tom is up into second place on track. He has got past Zane, and now he's got a clear track ahead of him to try and close the gap towards Fraser, which is 2.5 seconds as we speak, with still 12 laps remaining. And with the rate he was closing in, I'm sure he'll be there in no time, in a few laps time, right at the back of the Williams. And now Zane is going to be under pressure, because here comes Oscar as well. 5-lap tire difference, and the Williams will have the DRS, and he's going to pull alongside the McLaren, who has DRS as well, but not fighting too much, because he knows the cars around him are much quicker at this stage of the race. And Oscar is now up at the P3 as well, and it's going to be a matter of time before Nico gets past the McLaren as well, as we go on to lap 18 of this race. SCI Fraser still in the lead of this race at 1:30.6, and there's Tom, 1:29.8, so once again 0.8 of a second faster, and he is closing that gap rapidly down towards the leader of this race, as Nico wants to get past as soon as possible, has a moment mid-corner as the back end stepping out, so he has to stay behind for a few more corners before he can try and get past the McLaren of Zane on the back straight presumably. And so is Evan Kai, who has dropped behind a little bit as well, but he's still in there in that DRS train for the race lead. 2 seconds separating Fraser and Tom. Zane, I think he's dropped out of DRS. No, he hasn't. He has still got the DRS, but here comes the RB of Nico, who has not got a lot of DRS in the battery, but is going to pull to the inside, and he's going to get past the McLaren as well into the braking zone off turn 11. That is Kai, very close to the back of the McLaren as well. Had to take some avoiding action there, but he does get the job done, and he's now ahead of the McLaren, but they are around 1 second to Oscar, but they are closing the gap. So all 4 of them have found a way past the McLaren of Zane, and now they can all try and chase after SCI Fraser in the lead of this race, 1.5 with 11 laps to go.
Yeah, Nico there, as you can see on the steering wheel, can't really see many people's steering wheels here, but you can see there on the RB that he's quite low on the ERS as well, so I might have to think about recharge the battery now is the DRS train of Oscar and Tom as well. That's going to be very crucial, because you need all the battery you can have in the last few laps of the Grand Prix as well, as Fraser is in the pit lane then. That is a 2-stop strategy, and that is an early pit stop for the hardcore powered tyres. That's a 2-stop for Fraser then. He's going to go on the medium powered tyres. So we've seen a few people do the 2-stop, which is quite unusual, but he thinks that's the better way to go. That's another set of hardcore powered tyres. So on the tyre allocation before qualifying, you got a choice. You've got harder, balanced, softer. He's chose the harder allocation, which means you get 2 sets of hards, 2 sets of meds, and 2 sets of the softcore powered tyres then. And now he's got a brand new set of the hardcore powered tyres. Yes, he is then, as you can see on the graphic there, new hards attached to that car. So let's see what Fraser could do. They're not too far ahead, but 10 laps left to go. Could the tyre difference make all the difference, try and get back ahead of the guys? That's a very interesting strategy. So medium, hard, it seems, for Fraser, going for the harder strategy. And let's see if that pays his favours, though. Let's see how many places he can gain but I'm not quite sure. So the top 4 as they were in the first stint with Tom, Oscar, Nico and Evanai, as Zane has dropped backwards. The gap is 1.2 seconds then, so he's dropped further backwards there as he pitted relatively early. And I wonder, will he take the tires towards the end, or is he going to follow Fraser's footsteps and go in the pit lane then to put on another set of hard compound tyres? So tyre wear seems to be quite high as well, degradation. It's all about who can manage it the best with the setup as well and the driving. It's all about managing in the first stage, whether you want to do it one stop or two stop, I'm not quite sure. As here comes Oscar side by side with Tom as he puts himself back in the race to lead the Grand Prix. I cannot wait for the final few laps of the Grand Prix, because that's when the fireworks are going to go off as well, with all these guys fighting hard in the last few laps of the Grand Prix. Fraser is ahead already of Lucas. He's put himself into P8 with the DRS wide open there as he overtook him before the straight, as Zane is in the pit lane too, so he's going to go for the two-stop strategy with 9 laps left to go. And he's going to put on a set of the mini compound tyres then, the mid-range tyres, as he'll have a lot of hunting down to do as well. Stuck in the pit lane, but I hope that's glitched. It is glitched as he makes his way back out of the circuit then. So the gap to leader between Fraser and Oscar, the two Williams drivers, is about 14.8 seconds there. That could be very interesting to watch as the time will go down, but I'm not quite sure if Oscar or Fraser will catch the guys ahead. Zane, however, interested pit lane exit. I'm not going to mention why, but hopefully he won't get punished for that one, but we'll see it towards the end of the Grand Prix. But here's these guys then, the top 4 all in the big DRS train. 10 laps left to go in the Grand Prix, and we'll see which one of these guys will finish ahead of who.
So interesting to see some drivers opting for a two-stop strategy. It really seems like the hards will come to the end of their lives around 10 laps in. As we see multiple drivers around lap 9, lap 10 on those hards, they put into the pit lane for their second pit stop. So Fraser, like you said, he was 14.8 seconds behind when you set that earlier this lap. The gap right now is 13.5. And on his out lap alone, he already gained 1.3 seconds on the leader. So he is definitely going to be a contender for this race, especially in those final few laps when you've got the top 4 fighting it out with each other for that race win. And then he can really gain a lot of time. It's now under 13 seconds. So Fraser is closing that gap down rapidly, but he needs, doesn't need to push his tires too much, or else he might not have enough life in his tires at the end of the race. The car ahead of him, Luca, we knew he had to pit again, which is what he's going to do on this lap. Fraser fast up the race, 28.5, very quickly closing the gap. But Luca, mediums, and he will go to the hards, I would imagine. Or actually, he started on hards, mediums. So another set of mediums to the end of the race, 9 laps to go. So Oscar in the lead of this race, 6 tenths he's got towards Tom. Another 5 tenths to Nico and 5 tenths to Evan Guy. These 4 have been relatively the same positions for the entirety of this race so far. Not fighting too much, but I'm sure the fight will come in a few laps time, around lap 25, 26, when you want to get in that in the best position going on to the final lap of this race. It's 4 seconds towards Matthias, and then it's around 6 seconds towards Fraser. The gap is now down to 11.5, so he is gaining quite quickly. But is it going to be enough with this pace to be able to still be a contender for the race win? I think it's going to be very close with just over 8 laps to go.
For reference as well, as we see that Nico is pulling out the slipstream there, not under pressure from Evan behind, but wants to cool his tyres down and engine as well. As we saw, Fraser did a 28.5 the last lap, and Oscar did a 31.0, indicating how much fresher and better his tyres are in comparison towards Oscar, indicating the pace that Fraser has as well. So, like you said, could Fraser be in the mix and the fives? Could he make it a 5-way battle for first place? I'm not quite sure, but his next target is Matisse for P5. That gap is 5 seconds, but will close rapidly down on the Ferrari. But then when he overtakes him, it could be a 4.5 gap to bring down towards Evanai. So not too far behind. I wonder how much lap time he can pull out the bag as well in the last 7 or 8 laps of the Grand Prix to try and get the top 4. It could be a tall order, a massive ask, but I'm pretty sure that he might catch up. I'm not quite sure about overtaking. It'd be a tall order to try and get through these guys for first, second, and fourth. There you can see Nico there in the background as well, with Evanai right behind too, as he pulls out the strategy. Once again, really trying to cool the tyres down, and brakes and engine temperature skyrocketing too. But Evanai seems to put pressure. The RB is moving left to right all over the place, as Evanai as well in the braking zone, as we see going down in towards turn number 11 we go. Nico defended the inside line. I don't think Evanai was close enough to make a lunge anyway, but we'll see then. If these guys as well fight hard in these stages of the Grand Prix, could bring Fraser in contention. The gap was 5 seconds between Fraser and Matisse. It's gone down to 3.7, so 1.2 gained in the space of a few corners there, as now onto the back straight once again with the DRS wide open we go. The lobby, however, the lobby 1 session has started for PSGL, so let's see how that goes in qualifying as we head down towards braking zone. Here comes the Aston Martin from the inside. It's going to be so close and so tight between the two, but there's enough space given on the outside. Evernight goes up into P3. Fantastic move there from the Aston Martin driver, who slips himself up into P3. And I'm surprised Nico didn't really go on the defensive there, but what a fantastic move that was from the Aston Martin to go up the inside and take P3 away.
Great move indeed. He's now in a podium position, so starting to get into position for those final few laps on lap 23 of 29. 7 laps to go, 6 after this one. But Oscar still in the lead of this race, ahead of Tom. And I think Tom is planning to stay behind Oscar until that final lap of the race. It's Lucas that's the fastest lap of the race on the mediums, of course. So no real surprise that he is the quickest out on track. But Fraser still catching, still gaining time. Another second gained in half a lap. So the gap is now 8.5 seconds to the leader, so around 6.5 seconds towards the back end of Nico, as Lucas picks up a 3-second time penalty as well. And I did see that Fraser has got 2 warnings as well, so he has to be careful not to pick up another one and potentially get a 3-second time penalty, which will ruin his chances of winning this race. But at the moment he is closing the gap still very, very quickly, and he is looking at the back of the Ferrari of Matthias, and I think in a lap or 2 time he will be able to get past that Ferrari. It's now 8 seconds towards Oscar. He's still gaining over a second and a half every single lap on the race leaders. So he is going to be in the fight. 6 laps to go. Oscar leads ahead of Tom, Evan, Kai and Nico. These 4 have been in the DRS train for the entirety of this race. But these final few laps, we're going to see them fighting for the race win. It's going to be very exciting. But at the moment it's still Williams out in front. It's been a Williams out in front for the majority of this race, as Fraser was in there as well for a long time as well before he pitted for a second time. So are we going to see a Williams out on top at the end of this race? Now is Tom, Evan, Kai or Nico going to be able to do anything and come out on top in 5 laps time? Oscar leads by almost 0.8 of a second, but he is a little bit lower on ERS. So Tom, he will have 3 ERS 3 times a lap, of course, to close that gap down. And Fraser now 7.5 seconds, so the time he's gaining is slowing down a little bit, but he is still gaining every single lap. And if they start fighting, he will gain even more. He's around 1.4, 1.3 seconds behind Matthias, so I think he will get past the Ferrari on the lag step, and then he will be in clean air again to close the gap towards the top 4.
Yeah, the top tier caliber drivers know what they're doing, because they all know that if they fight amongst themselves, he knows that the guys behind will catch up with like Fraser as well. Even though Fraser and Oscar are teammates, Fraser is 1.1 behind Matthias. Matthias has gained a bit of time as well, because the last time I saw the gap between him and Nico was about 4.6, 4.5. Now it's down to 3.9 as well, so he's gained a little bit of time on the guys ahead, but obviously can't get close because these guys are way too far ahead, plus the DRS will help him as well. But Fraser's not too far away from Matthias in P5. I think Fraser's supposed to do something different here as well. It is a social race, not really that serious as well, so just had a bit of fun as well, see what he can do, and it's a bit of practice as well, preparation for the actual season in season 14. I can't wait to see when that season is announced as well. But here we go through turn 2 and turn 3. You can see the tyre grading as well, a lot more noticeable on this game. You can see that Nico's tyres are starting to hang off the cliff as well. His right rear tyre taking a bit of a beating and punishing as well. The tyre, as you can see, the steering wheel there above 105 degrees indicates that his right rear tyre is overheated and suffering. You can see a lot of understeer as well encountered on the RB as he missed the apex towards turn 9. Quite common as well in the dirty air in the race trim as well, but he's just trying to manage his tyres now. Is Nico just seems to be struggling. Of course, he was the first one out of the top 4 to pit, trying to do the undercut, but got compromised with the McLaren, I think, down towards turn 17, like you said, and therefore couldn't do the undercut on the top 3 there as he would have wanted to, but stuck in P4. As we see that Evan Nye creeping on the back of Tom, trying to put himself in the best possible place in P2. It's all about who is where on the last lap of the Grand Prix as well. Sometimes in first place, if Oscar can get a good release out of turn 16, which is this corner, the gap's about 7 or 8 tenths, and use the battery he's got to try and get a good launch. And Nico lost the rear end of the car. Look who's in the background. That is Fraser, right behind Matthias Sport. Should be an easy overtake with the DRS and fresher tyres. As you can see in the background, will fly past the Ferrari driver with ease. There he is, level pegging with the Ferrari, not using any unnecessary battery as we head down towards turn 17. as he gets past the 4 with ease, up into P5. The gap is 4 seconds, goes a bit deep in towards 17, but I don't think Matthias will fight back, knowing he's on much older tyres, and Fraser will pull away. So 4 laps left to go. The gap is 3.6, but I dare say it'll be a bit too late. So with 3 laps left to go, the tension will boil down between the top 3, top 4, but Nico is struggling. I've seen him sliding around in a few corners. He may be on the brink of losing DRS towards the top 3 there, so he might be excluded from this fight if he continues to wobble around and slide around on the RB. It doesn't seem to be suiting his driving preference so far as we head down towards turn 90. This time makes the apex very nicely indeed for Nico, but what's Evan I going to do being stuck in P3 there? He wants to progress up into P2, try and get the best possible seat for the house to win the Grand Prix on the last lap, but it's all about who is where as well. Tom will be looking in his rear wing mirror to see what Evan I is doing, because the man in P2 can be forced into an overtake to try and get first place, because Evan I will put pressure on Tom, force him to overtake him towards first place and put him in uncomfortable territory. That's what I love to see sometimes as well, when second place has to overtake first, otherwise they might get shuffled down the pack as well as we head through this twisty part. Evan I looks like he's so much closer out of the Mickey Mouse session. In towards turn 60 we go with the DRS wide open with the battery on the steering wheel. Is Evan I going to fancy a lunge up the inside? We've seen him do it on Nico. Nico has dropped out the DRS range of the Aston Martin. Here he is with the DRS wide open. He's going to go down the inside in towards turn 17. Double locks up. He makes the corner stick. The Mercedes on the outside gives him space as well as we exit turn 17. The side by side, but Evan I is up into P2. Fantastic move once again from the Aston Martin driver, but will Tom respond? Going down in towards turn 1, no. Evan I throws the defensive shape on the inside, makes contact with the Mercedes 2, but this time the NLR driver of Evan I in P2 has now got the best seat in the house to try and win the Grand Prix, take first place away from Oscar in the last few laps of the Grand Prix. Fantastic moves from the Aston Martin here.
3 laps to go when it started the kickoff. At the front of the field, Oscar in the lead of this race, but well, he's not got Tom behind for a change now. So now it's the Aston Martin of F1 with once again a great overtake to get himself a position higher. Now he is the one directly behind the Williams, so it's going to be a fight between Tom and the Aston Martin. Tom is using all of his battery to try and get past the Aston Martin once again. He's going to have to go on the inside, not a lot of space as they go wheel to wheel into the brakes. So the Aston Martin brakes later, but doesn't brake too late as they go wheel to wheel. But Tom, he is going to have to go along around the outside. That is not quite going to work out. So the Aston Martin stays ahead for now. But the Mercedes is looking to try and get that second place back, because second place is where you want to be going on to the final lap of this race. So they've got one more lap to figure it out. Oscar is still pretty comfortable out in P1. He's got 0.7 of a second towards Evan I, and Tom very low on battery, and he's not going to be able to pull off a move on this occasion. So Evan I stays in second place, and there's Fraser. He's got past Nico already, so that's how much time he gained there on the RB. Really struggling with grip. So Fraser now up into P4, but I think that is where he will finish, because he's still over 3 seconds behind Tom, Evan I and Oscar, and he's not going to gain 3 seconds on these final 2 laps. He might get close, but I don't think he's going to be able to put himself in the fight for that race. But we're on to the penultimate lap of this race. Oscar out in front, ahead of Evan I and Tom, and who is going to lead going on to the final lap of this race?
Indeed, then 5.4 kilometers, 3.3 miles as well onto the last lap. But however, despite Nico struggling, he's on the same age of tyres as Matthias in P6. Matthias is 1.4 seconds away from Nico, so he's closing in on the Racing Bull. Ever since the Racing Bull dropped out the DRS on the top 3, he's been struggling and been pushed even further backwards as well. Fraser is 3 seconds away, but his performance so far in the Grand Prix has been mega. As we watch the top 3 then of Oscar, Evan I and Tom, the top 3 drivers doing a fantastic job, all of them except Evan I think in F1. I think Evan I is in F2. Last season, as we head towards turn 13, turn 16 complex, there you can see Tom taking a lot of curve as well. But Tom wants to put himself second on towards the last lap, try and get a good run at Oscar. He's been second with the Grand Prix, but Evan I has been forcing his hand and he's put himself into P2. Oscar, however, can still defend this if he's got the battery towards the last laps of the Grand Prix. You can see him derated as well. He knows that he has to derate and save battery as much as he can on the last lap of the Grand Prix. Headed in towards turn 17, the heavy braking zone. Very critical to get right. You see Oscar there sliding out of turn 17. As we now approach the final lap of the Grand Prix, Oscar leads. We've got 5.4 kilometers, 3.3 miles left to determine who will win the social race here in Lobby 1, race 2 of the Miami Grand Prix. Oscar slides, has a bit of a moment out of turn 1 and turn 2 and turn 3 as Evernay inches forwards then. It's going to be a showdown all the way down towards the final lap of the race and in towards the final few corners as well. Sometimes, even if you can't get the overtake done at turn 17, you can still out-drag your rival all the way to the line. I've seen it plenty of times as well, but Oscar's got a decent gap, 7/10 of a second is not too shabby as well. He seems to be pushing really hard as well. The gap is about 7 or 8 tenths, so Oscar still might win this, but with the DRS on the second back straight, Evernay will close even more, and it's very important now for these drivers out of turn 16 to get a good run. There's a RB in the way there in turn 13 and 15. He's going very slowly, so could Oscar catch the RB and get DRS the back of him? He might do. Let's have a look. The RB is just a bit further the road. Yeah, it's very slow, but I don't think Oscar will catch the RB. Luckily for Evernay, otherwise he'd be so frustrated if Oscar got DRS on the back of the racing ball as they tap the wall. This is the critical moment then as we head onto the back straight for the final time in this race. Oscar pulling to the left-hand side. All the battery is being used. Oscar Weaver to win a toe as we head down towards turn 17. It's Evernay going to make a last lap lunge in towards 17, looking to go down the inside. Double locks up there as he makes the corner still. Doesn't make contact with Oscar as we exit the final corner we go. Here comes Oscar, sustain the pressure really well. Oscar will come across the line to win here in Miami. Fantastic race, absolute clinical for the Norwegian driver there. Evernay finishes in P2, fantastic drive for him, and Tom finishes in P3. Fraser 2.2 seconds back ahead of Nico and Matthias in P6. Looks like Nico sustained the pressure well against Matthias, and Zane in the McLaren finishes in P7 with Luca in P8 there in the Mercedes on the mini compound tyres. Lucas in P9 ahead of Matthias, who drove AI majority of the Grand Prix, if not all of it, as he might have not made it back through in the first lap of the Grand Prix. So congratulations there to Oscar. I thought for 1 second Evernay would make it 3 for 3 and overtake Oscar as he did on Tom and Nico previous laps ago, but it was Oscar just had enough in the tank to defend against Evernay as Evernay laid the brakes there going into towards turn 17, but he still made the corner, didn't make contact, well controlled on the brakes as well. Could have been so easy to wipe out Oscar as well and ruin their chances of winning, but still made it out cleanly. There is the Norwegian driver then celebrating the win in Lobby 2. Fantastic drive there from Oscar. He'd be absolutely pleased with that. Got plenty of experience as well racing here in Miami as he's taken victories before as well.
Well, great result there in the end from Oscar, and a really strong drive. Executed that to perfection. Took the lead of the race right after the pit stops and was pretty much in control after that. And fair play, I must say, to Evernay to go for the attempt on the final lap. He kept it really clean and for all these drivers inside the top 10, they really kept it clean all race long, and it was a great race in the end, and well done to Oscar as well, as he wins from pole position ahead of Evernay and Tom. So great race that was, great entertainment halfway at the end of the race as well, and Fraser in the end has to settle for P4. He got within 3 seconds almost at the end of the race, needed a few more laps, but well, can't be disappointed with the result like that. But, well, what a race that was. And well done to Oscar, your race winner of this social event.
Congrats to Oscar then in the Williams. Nice and controlled. Led majority of the Grand Prix. Kept it well under pressure as he kept it very well indeed. Built up a gap, a very important gap in the first sector as well by 8 tenths of a second as well. Got a good run out of turn 16 as he went on to take the victory after looking in his mirrors, being very, very nervous what Evernay's going to do, because you never know that Evernay had the bragging rights to try and go down the inside, but was a bit too far back and had to settle for P2, like Oscar Piastri did in 2025 Miami this year with a fantastic victory, and I really enjoyed that as well for the social race. My first social race to commentate, well, second actually, because I did one last week, and I'm doing one tomorrow and Wednesday as well, so a busy schedule for me, but yeah. Fantastic social race we have here, and Lobby 2 is started as well. I think qualifying is almost finished in Lobby 2. We've got a good lineup there as well. So for these people watching Lobby 1, go over to Lobby 2 to watch the PSGL social race for Lobby 2 at the Miami Grand Prix, and we'll see what happens there as well. But for now, me and Milan Langer have been your commentators, the English and Dutch duo, and hopefully we'll see you all whenever as well. And also, I think next race is at the Australian Grand Prix for PC for the 12th of June, which is next Thursday, I believe it is, for Lobby 1 at 7 p.m, Lobby 2 at 8 p.m. Not quite sure who the commentators are for those lobbies, but for the PS side of things, the social race is at 7 p.m. for Lobby 1, and Lobby 2 is 8 p.m. Not quite sure who is commentating for Lobby 1 and 2, but hopefully I don't mind doing another one, so I think I might try and join Lobby 1 there because it's been an absolute entertaining race. Hopefully the turnout is much better as well. And the next race as well is on the 16th of June for the PS side, for the Australia Grand Prix. Milan, once again, mate, thank you for commentating with me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we'll see more of this later on with me and you commentating for whatever division we get put in.
I agree. It was great fun, and I hope to see us again very, very soon. So thank you as well.
F1 heads back towards Canada this weekend for the Canadian Grand Prix, as it was a fantastic race last season when Max Verstappen took a sensational victory ahead of Norris and Russell. But we'll see you all later then. Enjoy the Canadian Grand Prix. MotoGP was last weekend for motorsport action, and I think it was Marc Marquez who took a victory around Aragon, as MotoGP has always got some good entertaining action as well. So we'll see you all later then. Goodbye for now and take care.
Adios.